Welcome back 10x developers. Thank you so much for watching. Today we're going to be talking about APIs. If you don't know what APIs are, well, you come to the right place. And if you do and you're kind of experienced with them, stick around because I do have a bonus tip I bet you don't know about. What does API stand for? Well, API stands for Application Programming Interface. Think of API as basically the mailman. The mailman sends mail to you and receives mail from you. It's kind of the same way. APIs send data and they also receive data. So it's kind of the same way if you think about it in that aspect. All right, so an important thing about setting up APIs is making sure you have the request down pat. So whenever you send a request, you want to make sure that you got multiple things right, especially whenever you're sending them in certain types of languages and things. But more importantly, you want to make sure that you have some type of header, the data you're sending, the data you're asking for, things of that sort. You want to make sure that you have that solved and ready to go. Next thing we're going to talk about is API methods. So some methods that are really common are going to be a get method, which is used for getting and retrieving data. And then there's going to be a post method, which is going to be for creating data. So if you're trying to create something in your database, well, you use a post method for that. Then we're going to have some type of updating method, which usually is called patch or put. The main difference between the two is that patch you can think of as patching up a hole in a boat or maybe like a tire. It kind of just finds one little thing and it takes it and it replaces it with the thing that you gave it to replace it with. Put, though, on the other hand, takes one item off the shelf and puts a brand new one back. It kind of replaces the whole thing and does that. And then lastly, we have delete. Delete is going to be basically, deleting the item. So you say, hey, I want to delete item 1. Well, it'll go and delete item 1. So we have our get, we have our post, we have our put, patch, and delete. 5 main methods that are going to make sure you need to know so that way you can make your APIs more RESTful. That leads me into what is RESTful. So RESTful just means some standard rules and things. And if you want to know the nitty gritty, you can look them up, or I'll leave a link in the description down below for them. Basically, RESTful just means that your API follows good standards and is easy to read and maintains good procedures as far as RESTful procedures. And like I said, if you want to know more about the RESTful procedures, you can look in the description down below. This tip or advice is going to be whenever you're messing with integrating APIs or using third-party APIs. So basically, you're going to want to make sure that you look at the responses that you're expecting back. So, hey, am I supposed to be getting an array or a list, or am I supposed to be getting a object? What am I supposed to be getting in this scenario, right? So that's one thing you're going to want to make sure you look at, and you could really use the websites for these third-party APIs if you wanted to. That leads me into the bonus tip. So the bonus tip is going to be make sure you're always reading APIs documentation. And if you're creating your own API, make sure you're creating documentation, because people who are going to have access to it need to know exactly which endpoints do what. Does this endpoint that I made /API/post, does this get all my posts, or does this create a post, or does it do both? You need to have that set in stone, so people who are working and developing in your app or are trying to fetch data from the public, if it's a third-party API that you're making, you need to make sure that those things are set in stone so the people who are accessing them know. And if you're using a third-party API, you want to make sure you read their documentation so you know. I want to thank you guys for watching so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. If you could, leave a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell for notifications so you can see every time you get a useful video like this. Also, I want to mention that we have a Discord filled up with 150 people at the moment, and we're planning on doing group projects to help better ourselves and hone in on our skills. We are also we game on there a little bit too as well. So I live stream over on Kick. Once I reach enough, we're going to do TikTok and YouTube. We do YouTube also. So live stream on Kick and YouTube. Go in the description down below. Follow me on those websites as well. It really makes the channel progress, and so that way we can spread this information further. Without further ado, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.